What's up, everybody? And today I will be reviewing one of the most infamous albums of all time, the Saint Anger album from Metallica. Easily regarded as the worst Metallica album of all time. There's really no debate about that. Now, if you're watching this review and you've never heard of or heard the Saint Anger album by Metallica, oh boy, are you in for a ride. Now, if you're watching this review and you've already heard the album or know of its history, know its story, then don't expect this to be a video where I'm just ranting and raving and shitting on the album the entire time. That's not the point of this. I'm going to be delving into the album, into some of the songs, explaining the whole history behind it, all that stuff. So it's more of an informative video than it is just me shitting on this album. Now, my personal take on this album, I'm probably the only person on earth that has listened to this album 6 or 7 times in its entirety. A couple of which were for this video specifically. I just wanted to go into it and make sure that I covered everything that I could and presented the best information I could for you guys. I don't know anybody, not one single person, that has listened to this album more than once, or has even listened to this album in its entirety. And I'll tell you, that's because it's a very hard thing to do. Metallica makes it very hard to listen to this album. So with that being said, we're going to get right into the video. So to understand the Saint Anger album, you really have to first understand what was happening at the time. Relationships between band members were worse than ever. They were horrible. They even had to hire a therapist. They felt like things were so bad they had to bring in a therapist for the band. And I mean, James and Lars were just constantly at each other's throats. They were constantly arguing and bickering.
I mean, we're in shit moods and we're not going to get anything.
All you want to do is
today.
pick a fucking fight, and
I don't want to pick a fight.
This is so silly. You're just sitting there going, I'm in a really pissy mood, and
I fucking told you straight up that I was.
Right.
And what are you trying to do?
I'm not trying to do fucking shit. You're just sitting here being a complete dick.
You're really helping matters. You're really good at that. I was straight up with you, and I told you I'm in a shit mood. And what have you been doing? Fucking picking at me all night.
Come on, guys. We got better things to do.
They were going through band member changes. They had just lost Jason Newsted.
After 14 years of headbanging, Metallica bassist Jason Newsted has quit the band, citing, quote, private and personal reasons and the physical damage that I've done to myself over the years while playing the music I love.
They actually had to get the album producer to fill in for bass. They had the album producer playing an instrument on this album. I don't understand that choice, but okay. So right off the bat, you just have some random motherfucker playing bass on a fucking Metallica album. Also, James Hetfield had just came out of rehab. He had been in there for like 6 months or something like that. And as I've heard him describe it on various interviews, podcasts, whatnot, he felt like he had just had all the layers of himself just peeled away, and he felt extremely vulnerable at that point in time in his life, because he was at what some would consider an identity crisis. He was trying to find himself because for all he had known his entire life was drink beer, rock and roll, fuck bitches. I mean, he didn't know how to live any other way. So he had just came out of rehab, a different person, and which honestly is like the worst time to be trying to create an album is when you got all this confliction going on in your head. So already that's a bad idea. Now at the same time, this is also why Lars Ulrich was battling Napster. The whole Napster thing he had going on where he's fighting with Napster.
The Metallica versus Napster battlefield moved to San Mateo today. Metallica drummer Lars Ulrich delivered a list of screen names of people who have downloaded the band's music online.
Metallica is suing Napster, a website that provides software which allows people to download music on the internet without paying.
Metallica drummer Lars Ulrich testified before a Senate committee earlier this month that Napster has, quote, hijacked our music without asking.
And then to top it all off, This is going to be the first studio album they made in 5 years. They hadn't been on tour. They hadn't made an album in 5 years. So they're already kind of rusty at this whole thing. And that just really didn't help things. And now let's get into the album. Zach Harmon was the studio producer for this album.
We're here in the Presidio in San Francisco. And this is going to be the location where Metallica is going to start recording their next album.
We decided that we didn't want to go back into a studio again and do kind of like the same thing we had done before. We had to kind of change things up, and this is one of the things that we talked about, was to go into a space that's not a studio, bring in kind of like a portable studio or a makeshift studio.
That's good.
And basically make the situation uncomfortable.
Yeah, a real genius, Zach. That really panned out, didn't it? That's such a great fucking idea. Good job, man. Good job. You fucking figured it out, dude. You got the secret. Yeah, that's how you'll make a really good fucking rock album. Just stuff them in a fucking storage room. Bob Rock was the album producer for this, and this guy's a fucking idiot.
The idea is it should sound like a band getting together in a garage for the first time.
He thinks if he stuffs some guys in a fucking room, doesn't mix and master the track on purpose. He did it on purpose. He left it sounding like shit on purpose. His idea was that he wanted that garage band, like we're just jamming out kind of feel. Well, that's nice and everything. You can have that, but you can have that and still have the tracks mixed and mastered. You don't have to leave it sounding so raw. It just comes off as nothing but unprofessional. It sounds like some teenagers recorded it in their garage. That's the sound he was looking for, and boy did he fucking get it. And I can guarantee you that is not how they wanted it to be executed. But Bob Rock, he thinks he got it fucking figured out, and that's the direction he's going to take it in. Obviously, that did not pan out. Just right off the bat, a lot of the ideas and concepts for some of these songs were just fucking awful. Examples of this being Shoot Me Again, Invisible Kid, Purified. These are some of the worst songs on the album. And it's mainly because of how terrible the writing is for them, as well as the instrumentation. I mean, everything, obviously. But these songs in particular just kind of highlight how awful this album was. Now, personally, I like Shoot Me Again. I think it's an okay song. It's a fun song to listen to. Is it a good song? No. And that's going to bring us to the lyrics. These are some of the worst lyrics I've ever heard. And that's because James just came out of rehab and he doesn't know what the fuck is going on in his own head. So, he doesn't know what he's doing.
It's like, okay, we kind of get to the point where the song is looped twice in the Pro Tools, and I know Bob's gonna hit me up for some kind of lyric ideas. Oh, shit. I was like dreading the whole process. It's like, why are you dreading it? Why you just...
Well, you're dreading it because of what? And let's get to the fear.
Well, because I didn't have anything, or...
And so if you didn't have anything...
wasn't inspired enough to have something.
I mean, he was dealing with a lot of psychological and emotional things at that point in time, and really, that's just the worst time to be trying to create an album, especially if you're Metallica. You take some time off, dude. This is just the worst timing. So, I mean, because of that, can't really blame him for some of the songwriting in here. How basic and elementary it is. Just some of the rhyming is just laughable.
Invisible kid, never see what he did. Got stuck where he hid, falling through the grid.
And with that out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and review some of the songs. I've chosen 5 songs for this because I'm not going to fucking make you sit here through an entire Saint Anger album. That's just torture. I'm not trying to do that to you. I love you. First song is going to be Frantic. Now, this and the Saint Anger song were considered the 2 singles off of the album, and Lars Ulrich even wanted to name the album after the song because he felt like it was the stronger one. In my opinion, they're equally, well, equal. We'll just put it like that. The part of the song that most people tend to have an issue with is the part where James Hetfield feels the need to constantly do this. Now, if you thought that song was awful, then you might want to stop watching this video, because it's just gonna get way worse, I promise. Next one up is Some Kind of Monster. Just listen to that shit in the background. That's not an instrument. That's not something that's supposed to be in there. That's just some shit that's going on in the background of the recording. Once again, this is Bob Rock's fault for not mixing and mastering the fucking track. Like, dude, all you had to do was pull that sound out of there. What the fuck? Why was that left in there? It sounds like shit. And then just listen to how weak the guitar sounds on this. That just sounds so laughable. Why did they do this? And then the intro of this song is 2 minutes long. Before James Hetfield comes in and starts singing, the intro is 2 minutes long. Why? These are just some of the stupidest lyrics, stupidest ideas for lyrics I've ever heard.
These are the eyes that can't see me. These are the hands that drop your trust. These are the boots that kick you around. This is the tongue that speaks on the inside. These are the ears that ring with hate. This is the face that never change. This is the fist that grinds you down.
This is the shirt when I do the interview. This is the mic that I use. This is the phone that I look at stuff on. This is my DJ booth. Wooka wooka. Just what the fuck are you doing? You're just naming shit? What the fuck is that, dude? And then listen to this.
We the people. Are we the people?
What is that? What the fuck is that? Why? Next song is Invisible Kid. In my opinion, the worst track on the album. Just simply unlistenable. I mean, what even is this? What the fuck is happening? So that part, that was just the intro to the song. Here's the song. This is the part, this is the song.
Invisible kid, never see what he did. Got stuck where he hid, falling through the grid. Invisible kid, got a place of his own, where he'll never be known. In a word, he's grown.
Is it just me, or does it sound like something's missing? It's just very lackluster. There's no punch. I mean, the only punch you really get out of the song is a punch in the eardrums. Now, would you believe me if I told you that this was from the same song? What the fuck is this shit? What are you doing? What the fuck? Next song is Shoot Me Again. Now, I will say what I do like about this song is the parts where it does this. Just has sort of a tribal, dancing around the fire type feel to it, and I really like that. But that's about all this song's got going for it. The lyrics in this song are absolutely terrible. At one point, they just kind of say, fuck it, and decide they're just going to repeat the same words over and over again and just speed up the tempo.
Come on, shoot me again, shoot me again, shoot me again, shoot me again. Come on, shoot me again, shoot me again, shoot me again, shoot me again, come on.
Yeah, dude, I really want to listen to that. The next song is Purified. This song is easily the best example of what Saint Anger the album is. Just a total mess of a song.
Tear it down, strip
I mean, there's really nothing else that needs to be said about this track. It's just an utter mess from beginning to end. And the last song is going to be Saint Anger, the title track of the album. Now, personally, I almost have no issues with this song. That's just a personal opinion. Except for the obvious sound quality issues, but that's every song on here. So, in my opinion, it's easily the most listenable track on this album. And I know this may come as a shock to some of you, but probably one of my more favorite songs from Metallica. I mean, you want to talk about a mosh pit worthy song.
Set my anger free. Set it free.
I just think that would be an amazing song to experience live. And Saint Anger, the music video for Saint Anger, was actually shot in a real prison.
I think you guys know the idea about trying to shoot a video in San Quentin. Wow.
So let me get this straight. You're going to go to a maximum security prison, and Metallica's going to play Saint Anger really loud.
Yeah!
That's kind of fucking cool. I like that. So overall, just a very terrible album with a terrible execution. Everything that could have gone wrong during the production of this album did go wrong. It took them 3 years to make the fucking album and release it. Just couldn't win with this one.
Just real confusing sound.
It's just jacking the vocals all up.
I'm born out being afraid, endless parade of fear that I've constantly made. It's frantic, tick, tick, tick tock. I gladly trade. Do I need to know the answer where I be laid?
That's going to do it for me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the review. I hope you learned something today. And if you could do me a favor and like or subscribe, that would help me out. So with that being said, guys, I will see you next video.
Aldous.
Oh, hello. Into Sam, man.
Babe, we should really get back to Naples. He's waiting back there for us.
So why don't you go and sue Napster, you little Danish twat?